is like locusts. They come and they go fast. We release something new, it's 300. That's just to get the statistical significance of the test.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah. Every 6 weeks, I want to send prospecting piece, and I'm planning to double it every single time for a while.
Morning. Welcome to the pod. This is the first one I've really properly done. And I think we're just gonna have like a conversation, try and provide value. I got some questions for Johnny. Johnny's got some questions for me. Little introduction, Johnny is the CMO of Perfect White Tea, who's like, I don't know, the revenue, multiple eight figure. Maybe you can tell me what specific revenue it is, but also runs an agency and has been in the fashion biz for a long time. So he knows absolutely everything about there is to know about fashion marketing.
Well, I don't know if I know all that, but so I've been working for the company for 5 years. When I started working at the company, we were doing about between 55 and 75 grand a month. And we're about, I would say, a year and 3 months at that point. I had been doing some work for them as well on other stuff, but I took over marketing at that point. I was doing like mostly social media stuff, organic social. I had this little strategy that Russell Brunson talks about, the Dream 100, where you follow 100 people that would influence your ICP, and then you begin to interact and engage with those people and build up credibility in that area, so that you can influence your ICP by being influential. And that was pretty much what I did in the very beginning with Perfect White Tea. That's all I did, was just do the following and do the commenting in the engaging on those particular people. And then a little bit of like answering DMs, customer service, stuff like that. They didn't run ads for the first 7 months. So organic was pretty heavy for them. And then eventually when they did start running organic, I had been a media buyer, like beginner media buyer. I didn't really know too much about it. So they didn't want me to handle it. And eventually I was watching what was going on with marketing, and I saw my opening and jumped in, and they hired me to do it after a bit.
Awesome. Can you unbundle and tell me more about that ICP thing? Because that sounds really cool. So like, who were you following? And like, what were you saying to them? And then what was the outcome from doing it?
So I'm not the one who picks who to follow. And that's difficult because I'm not a ICP. But
yeah,
as long as you know somebody who knows who the ICP is, you can work with them to get that list. And my wife, for instance, and her partner, and they had like one contractor at the time. Actually, our agency, we have an agency. So in the agency, all the girls who were in our agency, all the women who were in our agency, they're in the ICP. They're, at the time, probably like some of them were 21 to 25 years old, 40 something. So from 20 to 40 plus. And then, my mother-in-law, she's in the ICP. I would say now at this point, it's like 18 to 75 is our ICP, maybe even a little older, because everybody keeps getting older and they keep buying T-shirts. So,
yeah.
Our ICP is kind of broad, but when they first started, they were thinking like 20. I think they were thinking like 25 to 45, but it just way opened up. So anyway, they made a list, and I don't think it was 100. I think it was like 15 or 20. And they gave me the list, and I followed those people. And then, obviously I'm not a girl, so it took a little work to get the lingo down, to get like how I should be talking. So, it's not very manly to admit it, but here I am trying to figure out how to talk like a 25-year-old woman or a 35-year-old woman, so I don't get found out. It's like it was a little strange, but you get it done. It's business, so you're like, okay, I got to figure this out. So a lot of hearts, a lot of like just emojis. Like they don't go crazy with emojis either. They like want like this one emoji that they use, so they want me to use just that one. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then just single words, a lot of single words. Like they're like, we like this word and that word and this word. So I would just comment and just put a period after it, and then that was it. I wouldn't really talk too much. And I didn't really, I think I started with like 5 comments a day. But we were a small brand. We had a couple hundred followers at the time. So you don't want to go crazy. You don't want to call too much attention to yourself. So just familiarize yourself with the environment. Begin to comment one at a time, and then just stack wins over time. You're not really looking to get 10,000 followers off a single like, a single comment. You're just trying to like get into the community and become part of it. So just to go back a little bit, like our Instagram started in 2019. and it started by posting black and white photos of people in t-shirts for the last 100 years. And then there was some like little sayings that they would write down on like napkins and stuff like that, and they would take a picture of it and put it up. This is before AI, so you had to actually do that stuff, like write out like a little piece of paper and then take a picture of it. We would put up a lot of stuff like that. Picture of a coffee cup and be like, nothing before coffee, that type of stuff. Picture of a margarita on Friday night. It's like, hey, this is my happy place. And we just stacked wins, like tiny win, one on the top of the other. And I think we were about a year and a half in when I guess all of that kind of worked, because somebody with a few million followers all of a sudden just grabbed one of our products that she had purchased and started posting about it. No links, nothing. She was just like, "Oh, it's my favorite T-shirt," and we didn't even contact her. We didn't send her anything. At the time, she had a reputation, an interesting reputation, which later changed. But at the time, she wouldn't accept free product. So there was no way we could send her anything, because she actually would go on her Instagram and be like, "I don't accept anything for free. Please don't send it to me. I don't think that that's right." And then eventually this young lady did sign a deal with a big agency, and that kind of quietly went away. But when we managed, she still had this like idealistic, like, I will not take free product thing. If I post something, we love it. And then boom, I remember we did our first, was it like, it was so crazy at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I think we did $100,000 that month. We were like, 100,000 month.
I mean, what, in your opinion, I've got a couple of questions I'm going to come back to, but in your opinion, going from 0 to 100K or going from 100K to a million, what's harder?
Oh, 0 to 100K, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, 0 to 10K is harder than anything.
And 10 to 100, yeah.
Yeah. It was July of 2020. We did like $5,000, I think, or maybe $3,000 in the month of July. That was our first month on Shopify. We did like $3,000 or $5,000. We had been in business, we hadn't really been shipping product for that long, because the brand started in 2019. We only started shipping product in like June maybe of 2020.
Yeah. So going back onto, I just want to go more into this ICP thing. So from what I've got, there was two goals for you, right? One was some sort of seeding, getting to know influencers, getting in the mix there, right? And then 2 was for you to understand your customer better, understand the language they use, make sure you fit into the crowd instead of standing out from the crowd. Is that correct?
We don't really, no, we don't start out with seeding. We never, we don't want to give away product. Our product's expensive, and our philosophy on that is that we started, like, we did a little bit of seeding here and there. What we've seen over time is if you voluntarily give product out to people, you basically devalue your product.
Right.
And you can make great gains, but the problem is another brand can come in and easily walk in your footsteps and do exactly the same thing and kick you out. And if you make people pay for things, they value it much higher. And so when you start these mass influencer seeding programs and you start stacking like huge wins day after day, and you're like, rah, 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 we're great. Guess what? One day, somebody's going to walk down your hallway. They're going to kick you out. That kind of business to me is like locusts. They come and they go fast. And we've been in the apparel business for 18 years. So I've seen brands just go and then go in a very short period of time. And influencer is one of those things. You have to continue to pay. You know what I mean? Like, you have to pay the piper. If you don't pay the piper, they're going to pipe away with your people to another brand. So if you build it organically and people have this desire for your product and it isn't given away for free, it's hard to take that away from you. It's much more difficult for somebody to claw it away.
Yeah. So tell me about that. When you see these brands collapse, because in fashion, it's very different to other brands or any stores, really, right? They have these rises and falls based on trends and other things. But in your opinion, why do you think that happens more?
Well, I think it can happen to anybody, but like take a brand like James Purse, for instance. Like, do you think James Purse started out by giving away free T-shirts to people?
No.
And I mean,
you get it.
Yeah, so you'll have this brand who comes in and they're like, oh, we went from 0 to $1 billion in 2 months. Well, guess what, man? you're not going to be the James Purse in 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know, we're still fighting against him. Like we're like, you know, he's obviously he is a competitor of ours, and you know he's a strong competitor from 30 something years ago. The guy was around in the late 90s. If the brands who think that, you know, I'm going to go to China, I'm going to buy products for a nickel, I'm going to come back to the United States, I'm going to seed the world with it, we're going to hit this number. It's cool, man, but nobody's going to be taking that product off of a vintage clothing store in 20 years and putting it up on eBay and selling it for a high price because you started out with a very zero value of the product. You gave it away for free. Market penetration is awesome. It's cool. But if you don't want to go that route, like we did not want to go that route. Like we literally want to be the t-shirt that women who are 25 years old are wearing right now. And when they're 55 or 65, they're going to be like, yeah, it's still my favorite t-shirt. And the only way to do that, like with James Purse, because I had dinner with this woman the other day, and you know she's up there. She remembers buying James Purse, I guess probably in her 40s, and she's been wearing them for over 30 years. She said, she goes, I still wear them today. It's still my favorite brand 30 years later. So to get a customer like that, you're not getting those customers by giving away free stuff. They're not going to be here for you. So for us, that's how we want to be. We want to be the brand that people like, you know, like 30, 40 years from now they remember.
So like maybe the way to think about it is make a product so good that people buy it in 25 years later from a vintage store. Like that's the way to think about your product. That's cool. That's a killer. That's killer. It's a great. That's
I saw orders the other day. I saw orders in the store the other day from another person who owns a t-shirt company. Actually, there's a couple that I'm thinking of, but there's a woman who owns a t-shirt company. She's been around for a really long time, and she keeps ordering from us. And I know she still makes t-shirts. So she's been around for like a long time. She's an old school designer. She still makes some t-shirts. She doesn't make a lot of t-shirts, but she has over the years. And I see her orders in there. And then to go in the opposite direction, there is a group of people, young women, family, who also has a brand, and they've been around for a good amount of time, but their brand is not, you know, her kind of brand. It's not a designer. It's more like, you know, mass brand, and they're buying from us. And when I saw the orders, I asked my wife, I was like, do you think that they're buying to knock us off? So she opened up the order to look at it, and she's like, nah, they're wearing this. It's all one size. She's like, if they were going to knock us off, they would order the whole line, and then they would send it for tech packs, and then they would knock it out. She's like, nah, this is her size. And it's a very young, 5 million, 10 million, whatever, each person in the family. So we could see the order because we know who she is. And I'm like, she's literally wearing our stuff.
Yeah.
And she has her own brand that's massive brand. So though you're not getting that by we couldn't gift her. If we sent this stuff, it would end up in a warehouse that she gets from brands, and she would never open it. Some assistant would open it, and her assistant would be wearing it, like filming themselves, like, oh, I got this for free from such and such brand. So that's what the way I think of it.
Yeah. Well, make products so good that people making products buy your products. Unbelievable stuff.
And that's not to say we never seed. We do sometimes. It's just you can't lead with the seed. That's devaluing the seed. That's
You can't lead with the seed. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Because a lot of people are doing it with TikTok Shop right now. It's blowing up. It's not something I've dealt with too much. And they're using it as a way to get like a lot of top of funnel. I think most of the people on TikTok Shop right now, and maybe someone in the comments can correct me on this, but how they run it is like they break even, they offer massive affiliate sales on it just so they get lots of content and so they get like that free, top of funnel.
I think it's definitely a strategy. It's valid. People have been doing it forever. It's not a brand new thing. I mean, TikTok Shop is obviously newer, but the strategy itself is an older strategy that's been overlaid. People have been doing that kind of stuff forever, where they give away a lot of product in the beginning. And to me, I think that if you just look at the companies that have done it in the past, it's a pretty well-trodden path that you see what the end result will be.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, we covered sort of like the earlier stages of like going to 100K a month, but tell me about that. You're going from 100K a month to 500K a month. What do you think was the biggest lever, or what were the couple of biggest levers which took you there?
So 100 to 500K, when we were doing 100, there was only 3 of us.
Yeah. And
then we hired a 4th person for social who had been part-time. anyway. She was like a contract worker. I would say email was the biggest thing for us.
Yeah.
Hands down, it was 100% email. And, it was a little bit of ad stuff too, but yeah, it was all email. And the funny, yeah, I should mention this. A lot of people, so I used to do solely, my skill was Google Shopping
Right.
and Google Ads. Because I had taken a course on it and I'm not saying I was great at it, but that was my one skill that I was good at. So I was really just focused on Google Shopping for us, which is just a terrible channel in my opinion for women's apparel. But I came from a shop, a boutique, and we had a lot of products. We had like thousands of products. So I was making money on Google Shopping. So that was my one skill. And then I switched a little bit to Meta and started paying attention to Meta. And then we started to get business. But I would say though, if I had to pick one thing, it was definitely email.
Yeah, tell me about that then. So what did you do? Like, what did you implement?
In the beginning, we weren't really sending many emails. We were sending like one campaign a month, I would guess.
Crazy.
It's hard for me to look back because it's gone now, but out of memory, I can say that I know that the first 15 months or so, our revenues on email were between 2,000 and 6,000 a month. When we got to October of 2021, I started tracking the numbers, and we were doing like 30 or 40 grand a month all of a sudden. Like it went,
Yeah.
we had set up flows, we had gone through and set up like 30 email flows, and then we began to send a campaign a week because we thought like, okay, this we don't want to blast people with too much email, so one a week is fine.
Yeah.
And we did a single campaign for a new product that now is one of our best sellers, but it was a new product. It did $27,000. And meanwhile, we had been doing like 50 to 75 a month. So it was definitely email was what it did, was what got us from 100 to 500. Within about, I would say, from between October, when we were doing like 70 a month, to January, February, when we started hitting like 130, 150 a month, it was definitely all email. That was
Yeah.
the driving force. In the fall of that year, and that was 2022, we began to focus a lot more on ads, and we had doubled or tripled revenues year over year. So now I think we were doing like 250 a month by the end of the year, the end of 2022. And we were pushing probably 2 to 3 campaigns a week, 2 campaigns a week,
Yeah.
a lot more ads. I stopped focusing on Google. I tried to just not do that too much because it's obviously a lot of data entry, a lot of time. And we just focused on putting into effect customer service at that point because we were having a difficult time with the volume of customer service. And we were releasing a lot of new products. It was a messy, confusing time, no doubt about that. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean. It was rough,
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of foundations though, which you were building, right? Google is pretty it's interesting that you started with Google, but it's a pretty solid foundation. Like a lot of brands don't see incremental revenue from Google at all. It's really hard to see it. I know you're not spending too much on Google at the moment still now, right? It's like really low percent as a percentage of your like overall ad budget. You can clarify that in a sec. But then to see that your like email campaign, you can't have had too many subscribers, right? Maybe you had quite a lot. But if you're doing like 70K a month, you can't have a crazy big list. So to get an email campaign which does like 30K is insane, right? I mean, that's like some product market fit stuff there. But then you didn't start scaling ads really until after that. So you actually had solid foundations in place, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, we did a lot of things backwards. I mean, if I was going to, we started a new brand a little over a year ago. One of the first things I did, we built a Shopify site, very simple, clean site. And then before I even launched a single ad, I had built out the email flows and got them live. And we did that
Yeah.
intentionally because I think if you're sending people to the site without a back end to catch people in email is just a waste of money. So it was the first thing we literally did was just launch simple flows. Yeah, I agree with you now. I wouldn't devote too much effort as a women's apparel brand to Google. But coming from that boutique where we had thousands of products and we were selling a commodity, which was somebody else's product, it gives you a lot of exposure, Google Shopping. And it's a commodity. You're going against people with the lowest price.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing you mentioned there, which I think is what like So I work with a lot of fashion brands. I work with a lot of brands in general. And the one thing which allows brands to get that higher ROAS, that higher MER, is the amount of products you drop. If you're not dropping products which people love, then you're dead. Like, so when we start working with brands, it's like, I know I can acquire you new customers, right? And the more I can spend to acquire customers, like it's like a power law, right? Like if you can reduce your CPA, or sorry, increase your CPA by 10%, I can probably spend twice as much money on ads. And to do that, you have to then have great retention. So great emails, but then like, why do the emails work? Because you're dropping a lot of really good products. What advice would you give to people on that? On how to drop
Yeah,
products?
I agree. I hear a lot of people talking about creative strategy all the time on, and obviously the forums that we're in, Twitter and Slacks and WhatsApp groups. Everybody like, I'm in, I don't want to get his name wrong, but Stepan Georgi, Stefan.
Stefan Georgi, yeah.
Yeah, I got the
Great
name wrong.
copywriter. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I'm in his WhatsApp group. I bought one of his courses, and I'm struggling through it slowly. But I love creative strategy, and I love copywriting and all that stuff. It's fun. I suck at it, but it's not what we do. We definitely don't. We definitely never started out with, hey, creative strategy. Like from my simplistic view, creative strategy is how are we going to sell the product. That's usually how I look at it. How are we going to sell the product? That's what I look at it. And for our brand, for my wife's brand, what they've always done was they lead with the product.
Yeah.
They do, so if you talk to creative strategists and give them, hey, how are we going to do this? I think one of the first things they're going to say is, we're going to research. We're going to do research, right? That's one of the first things they're going to do.
Yeah.
So for us, our research is, what does the consumer want?
Yeah.
And if you read Eugene Schwartz's book, he's like, what is the mass desire of the market? So that's what we're doing. We're not looking at the customer and saying, how do we make an ad that speaks to the customer? Instead, what we're doing is, how do we make a product that the customer really wants? That's what our job is. Our job is, how do we make a product the customer really wants? And then we're going to take pictures of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's our creative strategy. So we're going to make a lot of products. We have 20 to 40 products a month dropping right now.
Insane.
That one product, and people are like you said, how do you sell that much of a product? Well, first of all, the product is $130.
Yeah.
Our email list was small. It was very small, but the thing is the product was $138. So it's extremely easy to get to 27,000 with a very small email list. If your product starts at 138, it's a lot easier than if it started at 99. So we sell an expensive product. We sell it to the consumers who are in the top percentage of the market, and our strategy is we're going to make something that people really want to buy, want to wear.
Yeah. So this is one thing which no one really mentions. You haven't mentioned the word yet. And I think it's super important when I work with fashion brands and they don't have this role. That concerns me because it will come on to me, and then it's not. I'm more of a creative strategist, the advertiser, but the merchandiser is like such an important role, right? So I think merchandising and advertising, there's something there which people miss, right? I work with a fashion brand right now, and so when I work with you, it's completely different. You need to advertise this product. We got this drop, blah blah blah, all of these things, right? This other brand is, and we're trying to help them scale and fix this problem. But I'm like, you need to hire a merchandiser so that your website shows the right products, and also so you know what products you need to sell, and for me to sell, right?
A lot of the brands out there are handicapped because of a few things. So I know a lot of people look at this as old school, but we have a wholesale operation, and in our wholesale operation, there's 1,100 stores. So we're in constant communication. Somebody, not me, but somebody's in constant communication with those 1,100 people, and that person has a spreadsheet in front of them, and they're talking to that customer who owns a store, saying to them, "How is the product selling? What are people saying? What?" And I can't get this out of my head because I hear it so much because my wife's on the phone with somebody, and she's like, "What's the feedback? What's the feedback?" Like they'll drop products, 20 to 40 products, and then the box gets to the person and they call them up and say, what's the feedback? So it's coming out of the box, and the person who is going to put it on the shelf, who's going to tag it and then give it to the consumer, is hearing from us, what's the feedback? So then they're being told, get it in front of the consumer, put it on them. What is the feedback? And that comes back to us. And then we hear it when they're like, they don't like this. They don't like that. They don't like the sleeve length. They don't like the way it falls at the hip. They don't like the way the fabric feels. They don't like the way it washes. All of these different things. That comes back to us. And then they go back to the drawing board and they start to do it again. So our creative strategy is in the product coming back and forth, listening to the consumer, so that once they get like I opened up an order the other day. This woman was, I was in customer service because we're working on customer service right now. By the way, my agency has a customer service gig. We do a customer service thing where we basically go into your company, read all of the emails, read all the communications, and then we make your customer service better through a variety of ways. So I'm in that right now on our own. I'm reworking our own customer service. So I went into customer service the other day. I'm opening up tickets. I opened up this ticket, and because I opened up the ticket the way I do, I could tell that this woman actually turned out to be one of our top 100 customers. So in the top 100, you have people who have bought $25,000 worth of stuff from us.
Right. Yeah.
So this one particular woman has bought $25,000 worth of stuff, and our stuff costs $100 to $150. So I don't even know the math behind that, how many articles of clothing she had to buy to get to 25,000, but it's not 100. It's probably close to, I mean, what is
200-ish, yeah.
Yeah, it's not 100. It's a lot. So
Yeah.
so I looked, and I'm like looking at her questions. She's asking a question, and I'm like, let's hear what she has to say. Like I want to talk to her. I want to know, hey, what do you have to say?
So tell me about that. So with the feedback from the stores and the feedback from there, like maybe this is advice for brands, like how are you applying that feedback to product or to advertising?
Just the product for the most part. I mean, it will get to you eventually, but so here's a good example. We have this article of clothing that people make a complaint about that it's too short. So, once you hear it 50 times, we're like, hey, let's cut 300 units at the longer length and see how it goes. So we release it, and then we hear back from people, and then eventually after 2 years goes by, people are like, it's too short. So now we literally have 3 lengths of the same exact garment. Like
Yeah.
we're about to launch the 3rd length. We're going to go for the 3rd length now because some people still think it's too short. Next thing you know, the thing is going to be down to your knees. But you got to listen to people, like, and maybe it doesn't work all the time. Maybe you get I wouldn't say make something off of one customer, but if you continuously hear the same stuff, then yeah, you got to make it. And it's, sometimes the complaints are not your complaint. That's one thing I would caution you about. Like some people are going to complain that the price is too high. That's not your customer probably. You just have to be like, okay, cool, we accept that. Thank you very much. And put a note in there that this is one of the, this is a discount customer. This is not our main customer.
Yeah, 100%. And there's another note on that. So oftentimes, I don't know if you've noticed this, but oftentimes when we work with fashion brands, we'll have comments saying, I wish you made these for tall people, and then I wish you made these for short people, and I wish you made these for curvy people, and then I wish you made these for slender people, right? And all of those ads on the same product, right? And so it's just like, what's the answer? What do you do in that situation? I don't know if you've experienced that.
I mean, I know that there are brands out there that do this, but I don't think as a brand that you can be everything to everybody. And if you've picked your customer, try to expand it a little bit, but I wouldn't try to expand it too much without testing. Like, test 100 units or 200 units at that new whatever it is and see how it goes. We have made stuff in the past that it didn't work out. And then, you're stuck with that stuff. You got to blast it out. You got to figure out how to get rid of it. So I wouldn't dive into, I know brands, there's brands that have, 30 sizes of something. I'm not exactly quite sure how they, how they do it. Obviously it's good that they're doing it. That's that company. That's their thing. It's not, for instance, our thing. Like we have, I mean, first of all, I would say the biggest problem is fabric. There's only so much fabric out there for the stuff that we do. Like we'll be making stuff and we run out of fabric. Like the mill is like, that's it. We don't have any more of that fabric. So for us, we have to kind of stick into what we know is going to sell.
Yeah. So can you talk me through, and I think this will help people, is like when you say you're doing like small runs, like 100 products, 100 SKU, 100 inventory, how are you testing that? And how are you getting the feedback and like what metrics are you looking at to know I need to make more of these?
We only do 300 right now. That's the minimum for us. We used to do less than 100, but right now we're at 300 per SKU. So if we release something new, it's 300, and I think that's just to get the statistical significance of the test. Like we're going to test this thing. If we only had 100, we might sell it and be like, okay, cool, let's do 10,000.
Yeah.
So 300 is the sweet spot for us now. And I also think that our operation is set up to bang out 300. It takes a certain amount of turn a line. Like, you know, if you have like a line of sewing machines in LA and you have a certain amount of people working, it takes a certain amount of time to turn the 300 around and get it in and get it out. Like the first garment, they're not going to make that good. They're kind of experimenting. So hopefully that's a sample. By the time they get to 10 or 20, they're kind of like, you know, okay, great, we got this down. QC on 300 units is going to be higher than it would be if you were doing 10,000. Yeah. So that's a real thing. You're gonna have some difficulty if you're doing 100 because you might never get to the point where they're doing something really well.
Right. Interesting. That's a super cool note. And in terms of like selling them in the test, like are you just doing an email blast to like some customers, or like how are you? Is that what it is?
You can't. I don't think you can make ads for a 300 MOQ product. Unless unless it's just you. For us, we're dropping 40 or 50 a month, so we're not making specific ads for 40 to 50 new products a month. No. We're throwing pictures in of them, but it's not like a thought process. We're not like, okay, cool, we're gonna come up with an ad for each individual of these 40 or 50 SKUs a month. You guys would go crazy if we tried to do that. Imagine you had 40 or 50 new categories, SKUs a month that you had to make ads for. It's a great idea, man, but I mean that's super tough.
It's crazy, and also within the ad account as well, it'd be impossible to manage, probably, right?
Our ad account is already impossible. I have I think I have 5 testing campaigns right now.
Yeah, well, this is very different to other fashion is different to other things inside the ad account as well. I think because you have to merchandise within the ad account.
Yeah, because if I have a product that is say $80 and I put it into the same ad set or into the with a product that's 130, can't be done. So we divide into I try to keep all products in the same ad set. Doesn't always work because maybe we only have 2 ads and I like to do 5, but I do my best. There definitely is a huge difference. But I worked for a supplement company recently, making some stuff. I made some ads for them, and it is a little bit different. Like there's a learning curve. I didn't do great at it, so I didn't get out of the curve.
Basically, the difference is like a lot of the advice I see when you run for anything but fashion, especially when you're dropping lots of products, like one product stores, the inside the ad account, the advice is completely different. Because when you're running a fashion ad account, you have products which are like Meta thinks is probably the best product. They're slightly different price points. And if you put them all inside the same CBO, it's just going to spend on one of them, right? And you can't build a fashion brand just by spending on one product. And so that's why you have to have a manual intervention, I believe, which is what you're doing in order to, push on ABO on the different products, right?
I think you can get away with it in a CBO if the ads are strong and the product is strong. I think you could get away with it. I mean, we have several products in our CBO that are performing, but it's definitely not easy. Like there have been times when 10 of my top 10 ads were one product and I wanted to sell other stuff, but that's where the ABO comes in handy, and they're just like, okay, cool. We'll throw those into ABO and run it alongside. I do think also the catalog is great for that.
Yeah.
Because you could do a catalog ad and you could make a specific catalog ad for that SKU.
Or even category, or things like that. Yeah, and so it's like the good combination is you've got your scaling CBO campaign, super be the most efficient, chuck everything in there, have the ABO, and so you can manage the merchandising a bit better. Yeah, for one brand, we didn't split by product. They were dropping Wednesdays and Sundays, and so we had to categorize the products into evergreen products, into like seasonal products, into like I think we did evergreen, but like the variations of them. So I think we had 4 or 5 campaigns of like different like categories of that like the products they were launching. That allowed us to like control budgets. Like for example, the seasonal products, like sometimes there's more, sometimes there's not that many of them, and but also I'm sure you'll know like the seasonal products will probably take up a bunch of spend inside the ad account because new is better than free in fashion, right?
You got to introduce them to the idea that everything is evergreen.
Okay, go on. Tell me about that.
So I know brand owners will just go. They want to pull their hair out. So the best thing probably to do is to create a second Facebook page and a second Instagram account and block the owner with this one and run the ads that have sold out in that account. Because, for instance, I have an ad running right now that has a Christmas tree in it, and it's in the top 15.
Yeah.
And you got these like really type A driven founders, and if they see that ad, they're going to lose their minds. They'll be like, wait a second, I just saw an ad with a Christmas tree for my brand running. So I have, I just created a second ad account. I mean, a second page and a second Instagram, and I connect it, and I throw those ads in there. Everything is evergreen. I'm running ads right now. I'm running an ad. The founder texted me like 2-3 weeks ago. She's like, I keep seeing this ad, and it's been sold out for almost a year, this product. And I just said to her, I go, hey, it's still selling. If it wasn't selling, I would turn it off. So there's, I hear you. I understand where you're contacting me, but if you want, I'll turn it off. But the financial result is not going to be great because the ad is back to basically attracting attention. And this particular ad is a good one, is a good example. So this ad was made over a year and change ago, and it has an interesting color in the ad. And we not only don't sell that color anymore, we don't actually sell that product anymore. But it attracts a lot of attention, and people click on it. But the funny thing is that ad, which was a top ad in our account about a year ago, almost a year ago, it never sold the product that was pictured anyway. It took a while for that product to sell out, and the ad was one of the best ads in the account, and it was a super limited drop. I mean, this thing was super, super limited, and it stayed around for a while. So I kept running the ad. The ad was a top spender. And then I, at one point, was just like, man, are you guys ever going to stop making that stuff? Because I don't really dive into the product too often in inventory. So I was on a call, and I remember saying to one of the people, hey, are you guys ever going to stop making that? Is that just like in the essentials now? And the person who's in charge of the store, her name is Alex, she goes, oh, no, that's not selling well at all. And I was like, what? Well, it's one of our top performing ads. And she's like, yeah, they're buying something else. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. I go, so how much of it do you have left? And she goes, well, it's kind of starting to sell out, but she's like, it's not sold out. So it's like 2 months later, they finally sold it out. And they're like, then they text me, they're like, hey, you can stop running that ad. We sold out right now. I was like, yeah, I already figured this one out. That's attracting attention to the brand, and then people are going to buying something else. So we're just going to leave that doorway open for people. We're going to leave that door unlocked so that they can walk through it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the way you deal with it is the same way I deal with it. It's a tough conversation because oftentimes they're just like, how have you messed this up? Why have you not turned this ad off? We like
It's not that tough.
Yeah, go on, tell me.
Be practical about it. Like here's the thing. If you make those decisions time after time after time after time, it's possible you're going to have a bad financial result one day for your company. And then you'll be at a desk one day signing paperwork, like closing things, firing people, selling stuff. And you could say to yourself, yes, but I made those right decisions so many times before. It's not false advertising. It's a product that was sold. You're showing a product. And then when they land on that page, you can direct them to someplace to say to them, hey, this product is sold out. We don't do it. We just land them on the homepage for those kind of ads. That's one of the things I'll tell you is that when you're designing these ads, because you don't want to hit the reset button on them, make sure it's going to a homepage or a collection that's going to be living forever. That's a key here, is send them to new arrivals. And then when somebody says, complaints to customer service. Hey, I wanted that thing and it sold out. You could be like, that's one of our sold out items. The reason that you landed on that page is because it's sold out.
Yeah.
Could I interest you in this item over here?
Yeah, and things being sold out in fashion as well is like it encourages people to buy more.
I mean, like it's you missed out on that, but we do have something right now that is gonna suit your tastes, and that particular ad is a perfect example of that. We also had this other one years ago that everybody used to complain about. We had this like V-neck, short sleeve sweatshirt, and it was people would go nuts for this ad, and it went to the wrong page. And then people, so customer service would be like, hey, you got to turn that ad off. And I was like, no, you just have to explain to them that that's a mistake. And then redirect them to the right page and give them 10% off for their trouble. But we're not going to shut this ad off because it's performing.
I want to dive into customer service a little bit because I saw a study which said that LTV was higher after a customer had a good customer service experience, but they came for a bad reason, right? So something went wrong. However, the customer service managed it so well that LTV increased overall. So that leads me to a question. Should you make every experience bad?
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, there's a guy named Andrew Sassone.
Yeah.
He's from your country, actually. He's from London. I worked for him in 1997. He owned this bar called the Jet Lounge, and he went on to become at one point he was considered one of the richest men in America. But when I met him, he was living in a one-bedroom studio in Soho with no door lock, and he had probably like he had like two shirts, and maybe like three pairs of jeans or two pairs of jeans. So I worked for him in a bar, and he was like broke, struggling dude, and then he ended up having like 20 clubs in Vegas. So one night I was in the bar and I was like new. I was an idiot. I was in my early 20s. I was a loser. And, he came up to me. I don't know why he pieced this piece of like wisdom to me, but for some reason he came up to me and said, hey, Hick, come here. I got to talk to you for a second. Customer had gotten upset about something. I got in an argument with the customer. It ended up being like security had to throw the person out. And he comes up to me and he like puts his arm around me. Come here. And he like drags me around and he goes, when this happens again with a customer's angry at you, he's like, the first thing you need to do is you need to acknowledge what happened to the customer, and then you need to apologize. And he's like, pulls me around like this and he goes, and then I want you to turn the customer around. And he like violently holding on to me. And he goes, I want you to turn the customer around, and I want you to let them know that you appreciate them being here and that you're going to make sure that they have a good night for the rest of the night. And then I want you, every time you see that customer, to be like, yeah, we're having a good time. So, like long and short basically is you acknowledge the customer and their issue. You apologize, and then you make sure that they have a good experience after that. And that is what you were talking about when you were saying customers will have a higher LTV. Because now if I see that customer a year later, that guy remembers, or that girl remembers, that I took that bad situation and acknowledged them and took them to a good spot. And now they're very loyal because they've had a bad experience that's a good experience. And it's very important that you do those three things in order, and then also log why it's happening and try to get rid of it. But it is a good idea to look for those people. There's another and I remember I told this to a customer service person who we had hired. She was a professional. And I told her that story on a call. And she was like, okay, you should never be in customer service because that has nothing to do with customer service, what you just said. That's from a nightclub.
Right.
So she got fired at some point. Yeah, I didn't fire her, but I left her alone for a while and let her do her thing. And she didn't really know what she was doing. And now I'm back in charge of customer service, of course, for a good long time. And I will tell you that I have taught that to everybody who works for us, that customers are going to get upset, and it's an opportunity for you to take a disgruntled person and turn them into a raving lunatic fan of your brand. I think that's in a book someplace, like Brand Fans or something they call it. We had this woman come in over the weekend on customer service line, and I got in touch with her because she had left a ton of ad comments. My ads were struggling over the weekend. I went in on a Monday morning. I remember being like, man, something's like bad in here. Something's going on. What is going on? And I'm like messing with budgets and everything, like lowering budgets because it's a disaster. It was like 4 days of just pain and torture over the weekend. So Monday, I'm like, let's just bring things down and assess what's going on. Turns out she left like close to 50 comments on the ads about like copy paste her bad experience. So she wrote it one time and then just copy pasted it and then went on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And every time she saw an ad of ours, she just obliterated it. So our best performing ads had like novels of how bad customer service is. So I got in touch with her. It's very funny actually, because remember the product I was talking about before with the picture? Okay, so it's the same exact product, but it was a different color. It was baby blue. And this woman had tried to get these baby blue shorts and they were sold out. And she called customer service a few times and said, hey, can I get them? Customer service kind of like acknowledged her and said, yeah, we know you're looking for them. They're sold out. We'll let you know. Put her on a list. Didn't contact her back because they weren't there. So it's kind of like, just a regular normal SOP. This is it. You're not getting them back. But that didn't satisfy her because she wanted those friggin' shorts. So now she's going nuts, dude. And I got her on the phone with one of the founders and we put the feelers out to all of our people and said, listen, we have and she's a good customer. Spent like $9,000, I think was her total at this point. So she's a good customer. She's not in the top 100, but she's up there. We found a returned pair in a store in the United States that one of our stores had, because everybody sold out. It was a very limited production run. We didn't even sell it to that many stores, but there was a store that had a pair and they're like, yeah, we have a pair that returned from a customer. So we're like, FedEx it back to us. They FedEx it back to us, has a stain. We're like, boom, send it to the dry cleaners, explain to the woman, listen, they're used, they had a stain, they're damage return, we have them back. If you want them, we can provide them to you, but we'll like run them through the factory again. So we sent them back. We had to re-dye them a little bit because when they cleaned the stain, they messed it up. So now we're bleaching these things, and she's like, I'll take them. We're like, we're just gonna send them to you. We're not gonna charge you. We're gonna refund your original money. We're not allowed to sell this, but we're gonna send it to you. Let us know what you think. She got it. She's super, super happy, writing like great reviews for us and everything. She's still in our orders now today. I've seen her, talk to her a couple of times. I put these in a file, and then I have a reminder to email them like every 90 to 120 days. How are things going? Because I know that those customers can go off the rails.
Dude, that's crazy. That's like a next level of customer service, and it seems unscalable as well. Seems like go on.
It's not. Yeah, you can't do that. But what I'm thinking of is what I meant to do. I forgot to do this. I got to do this. Is we're supposed to do an ad with her.
Yeah.
We're supposed to do an ad call with her. I had said to her, would you be open to doing an ad call? And she's like, yes. So, it got on the list and I forgot. But now when her reminder comes up next time, I'm going to be like, boom, let's do that ad. Those kind of customers, they're high touch, they're difficult. But how many $9,000 customers you have when you sell T-shirts for $80?
Yeah. So I actually have some questions about, and this is what I'm interested in, I think other people will be interested in too, is like, what's your technical structure set up for customer service? Because it clearly starts, like, the first touch point is probably email, or the first touch, but then you also have to deal with it on your Facebook comments as well, right? So there's a lot of touch points. So how are you handling that?
We don't use, we use Rich Panel.
Yeah.
We haven't been using Rich Panel for ad comments most of the time. But we do use it sometimes. There's certain periods of time where it was used, but most of the time I would say we're not using Rich Panel. I think right now we might be using it again. It kind of comes and goes. We also use Live Recover. Live Recover does ad comments, so we were using them for the longest time. Excuse me. We've used a combination of things. Like, I did it for a long time. 2-3 years ago, I was doing it. It got to be too much because it's like, it throws me off. Like, I get the notification on my one laptop. I have one laptop with all notifications on. So, like when I want to get stuff, let me show you the setup over here. So I'm on a laptop and then I have another laptop. And then so what happens is one laptop has notifications for everything on. And when I need to, I just reach over and I shut it so I can get work done. And this other laptop that I'm talking to you guys on is like nothing, zero. So there's no notifications coming through this thing. And what would happen is I used to open it up and I would just clack away. But the problem was that I started to lose the ability to get real work done. And I also want people to respond back to comments super fast, ad comments. Because I feel like sometimes people are in the consideration phase. they're like thinking about it. And if they're still on their phone and they see reply back, they get the notification. They're like, oh, what did he say? They go back, they click it, and they're like, oh, buy. So for customer service, we were using live people, live recover. We were using people in our office in LA. Now we're switched. Customer service takes care of it right now, and I think that they're using Rich Panel. Yeah, they're using Rich Panel because that's all that they use. So our current setup is in Rich Panel, 2 live people are responding to comments, and then we go back and look at those comments just to make sure that they're appropriate. Because in some cases, you could be talking to a celebrity. Oh, no, that's in the DMs. You could be talking to a celebrity, but they do DMs too. Our DMs are done by customer service. So for the most part, I think that ad comments are just run of the mill. 90% of them are usually customer service, and they can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Cool. I think we've covered like a bunch. We've covered all the way from merchandising. We've done customer service. Is there anything else you think is important which people are missing right now? Wait, so let's say you see other fashion brands and you're just like, man, they would be so much better if they were doing this one thing. What would you say?
There's definitely 2 things that they're missing, but one of them I'm not going to talk about.
Okay.
What we're doing in ads, I'm not going to tell anybody for a while.
It's cool.
Just not. I'm going to keep it to myself for a little while. We'll get some goals to hit. I will tell you about direct mail. Everybody who I know, I don't know many companies in DTC who I think are doing direct mail the way it should be done. And it should be, in my estimation, prospecting. And I think at this point, I would say 50% of my budget soon is going to go to direct mail.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sending out 425,000 prospecting pieces in about 90 days. Last week, I dropped 225, I think. 225,000 prospecting pieces. So we are, every 6 weeks, I want to send a prospecting piece, and I'm planning to double it every single time for a while because it's so good. So we're sending a catalog. It's 20 pages, 6 by 9. I get the list from a data company, and it's just crushing it. It costs me about 62 cents to send this thing. And I think if you talk to most people in DTC, they're like, oh, go use this software SaaS company that does direct mail. They're the best. Like, wait a second. That's prospecting? They're like, no, it's retargeting. I'm like, cool. I'm not interested in it. Not doing it. I get email for that. This is prospecting. You can hit cold prospects all over the country. I mean, like, just imagine me paying to contact 425,000 people on Meta. Like how much is that going to cost? 425 of my ICP. The CPMs for 425,000 people. I need a calculator to tell me how much it is, but the response rate in direct mail is insane. Like, I'm getting like 2% close on cold prospects, and it costs me, say $67,000 to send 100,000 pieces, or $62,000 to send 100,000 pieces. So with a 2% response rate out of that 100,000 at 200 AOV, it's ridiculous how much money we're talking about. It causes me, like right now on Facebook ads, I'm actually reducing my budget. I'm bringing my budget down. I'm reducing my budget because direct mail is so good. And then what happens is because I'm able to reduce my budget on Facebook ads, I'm still getting conversions, but I'm not trying to scale on Facebook ads for a week or two. Instead, I'm just driving a lot of business to the store through direct mail.
I think the number one question people will ask about direct mail is, how do you know it's working? Like, what are you looking at?
Well, they give us a list, first of all. You get a list. So, in other words, I have a spreadsheet from the direct mail company, and they'll show me, I have, say, 2,000 orders. I did a mailer in in February, and I think we sent 124,000 was the number of prospects, and so we got like I think 1,800 orders out of that, 1,800 new customers out of that.
Insane.
So
That's
yeah, so it's a little under 2%, but they give you the orders, and then I look at the email list that I have and I dedupe it, and I think there was about maybe like 3% of the people were actually on my list. So they sent me a list of people, and they're like, "We got you these people," and then not 3%, it was less than 3%, but there was some people on the list. So it was like, "Oh, this amount of people was on your list already." But I would say that's probably because of cross device or something like that.
yeah.
And then we go through the list and we look, and we're like, okay, so we got 1,800 prospects closed out of this list of 120,000. So that makes me want to send 1 million, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like I want to 10x it, but
Yeah.
I'm not 100% positive that they can scale like that because they're targeting people. They're taking people and targeting them based upon information that's available to them on their data platform. So they're saying, "Hey, listen, we think his customers, or this customer will be his customer."
Cool. And then the other thing I think people want to know is like, how do you even make the direct mail? Like, what ads what are you putting on there? What content? Who's making that? Who's in charge of that? All of this stuff.
So it's an 18 to 20 page catalog. So it is a little bit of work to bang out the graphic design on it. We have people who've been with us for 5-6 years now, who are graphic designers and stylists. So we're just in essence exactly like we show stuff on the website. We're doing exactly the same thing. The person who handles our Instagram has been with us since I think she's in her 10th year right now, and she started up like a dozen Instagram accounts for us. So this one individual has done a dozen Instagram accounts, and she's doing the catalog. So she's she knows the customer. She looks like the customer. She thinks like the customer. I would say you put a new product on the cover, and just put all of your products inside. Put the lifestyle in there. Make it look like your brand. Make it if you don't have I have a graphic designer. You have a graphic designer. I have 15 graphic designers right now. Like, we're making a lot of ads internally, and you have a graphic designer. I would say if you have a client, take your top performing ad and put it on the front cover of the mailer. That's a good strategy. I did that just now. I sent a mailer out, postcard, sent 26,000 pieces, and it was our top performing ad for like the last 3 years in the account. Like I just picked a time period of 3 years, looked at the top performing statics, and there was like one I was like, "Oh, this is a postcard," and we just sent that out as a postcard.
Awesome. Dude.
And as far as the offer, man, I would just copycat like one of the big ones. If you get a catalog and it says 20% off with this coupon, do something like that maybe. Or and I wouldn't lead with it though. I would put the discount on the back. Like lead with the beauty of the brand and the lifestyle and all that stuff. And then in small writing on the back when they're like, "Oh, I'm thinking about going this. I'm thinking, let me read more." All of a sudden they're going to see 20% off, or maybe I think we did 15. Yeah, they'll see 50. Oh no, we did actually do 20, but it was our offer was 20% over 250. If you spend 250, get 20 off. So on mine, I'm tracking the performance right now, and I can see a lot of the people who got the mailer because we did a list, an in-house list. We built it in-house. This is a little bit tricky. I would tell people don't do what I just did. We did our own mailer. Went to a print shop, basically just built a list and was like sent it out. It wasn't bought from a list broker. I geo-located some areas and was like, these are where my customers are, based on stores and stuff like that. And I sent it. And it wasn't a smashing success, but I'm seeing the orders come in, and a lot of the prospects are buying at no discount because they don't want to hit the 250 number. So that's kind of cool because they're like, they're still buying, but they're not using the discount.
Yeah, super awesome. I mean, I think it's one of those things which no one's considered, no one's thought about. They think it's dead. But in those markets, it's like, you're probably going to get really cheap CPMs at the moment, right? Until someone figures it out.
The big brands know it. So when
Yeah.
I say no one's doing it, I'm talking about in our vertical, like the brands that you and I know.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, if you think about it this way, like if big brands are sending a lot of mail, but the consumers tend to like small DTC brands right now, when we pop into the box, we're getting a really warm reception because the consumer doesn't want to hear from J. Crew, The Gap, Banana Republic, all of these different big online, big retailers who are sending the stuff out, who are still doing mail. They're getting blasted with that. But then they see this not so familiar brand. They're like, oh, what is this? I've never seen this
Yeah.
before. And so we're getting a very warm reception in the box.
Yeah. They're fatigued from J. Crews and things like that. Yeah. Doesn't pop out
Yeah, I
for
mean,
them.
everybody gets those catalogs. People buy from those brands too.
Yeah.
But if you're the new DTC brand in there, you're going to get noticed.
Yeah. And by the different people as well, like, right? The audience who wants something new, which is like a big audience, right? They
It's
want to
funny
know.
though, because I'm in a two direct mail masterminds. I had to buy my way into two of them. One of them's like 1,200 a year, one's 1,700 a year.
Yeah.
So I bought in and I started going to the meetings and talking to everybody, and there's a lot of authors in there, so I read a couple of their books, and I was, I'm just diving into direct mail. I'm reading Dan Kennedy, Brian Kurtz, Eugene Schwartz, Gary Halbert, just reading tons and tons of books. And that's not even, there's like more. So some of these people are still alive too. Like there's people out there, like there's this one guy, I read his book and I'm in his mastermind. So I dropped into they have a Facebook group and I dropped in. I'm like, I just sent, a 25,000 piece mailer. And the guy replies back to me. He goes, did you do this, this, and that? And that wasn't in his book.
Oh,
So I was
right.
like,
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, I read his book. And he goes, did you do this, this, and that? 3 questions. And I said, no, I mean, I didn't actually. And he goes, well, you don't know what you're doing. You should book a call with me and you're wasting your money. And then I replied back to him. I was like, hey man, I read your book, and I took a picture of it and I put it in. And he's like, that's irrelevant. You need to book a call. If you're sending 25,000 piece mailer, you shouldn't be doing it on your own. You're wasting your money. And I'm like, I read your book, dude. What are you talking about? Like, and he didn't reply back to me. He just like closed the chain and disappeared. And I'm like, why'd you write the book if the book doesn't work?
Yeah. He's
But
just,
you get a lot of people who are professionals in this arena. But the thing is they don't know my customer.
yeah.
I know
We
my
don't have
customer.
the product.
Yeah, they might have sent 2 billion pieces of mail, but they don't know my customer like I know my customer. So I have a huge advantage against somebody like that. And they're thinking they're ultra smart and they know what they're doing and they can do everything. But the thing is, I have done the research on this consumer, so I have my edge. They might have their edge, but I have my edge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same situation in meta ads, right? It's like, oh, what's your account structure? Well, that's your edge, maybe, but I understand my customer better than you. It's the same thing in meta, right? If you understand your customer better, you can make better ads. It matters way more than like what your account structure is, which is similar to the mailer thing, right?
Yeah, I would say that is a benefit that the small brands have. I've said this before in the past that there is an advantage to being a small brand. There's a huge advantage, and people overlook it all the time. You're a small brand. You're close to your customer. You're making decisions fast. You can make moves super fast. You can make product changes because your product isn't, you're not pounding out 10,000 units a month. So you can make an adjustment on the product, and that has a big impact. You're not, my gosh, man, people mess. I just said this. Somebody the other day was like talking to me about organic content, and they were like, just the strategy that some brands have, like they'll be like, hey, we want to post up like a month, 2 months in advance and have this all built out. And I think that that's one of the strengths of the small brand is that they're not doing that.
Yeah.
And as a result, they have a big impact. I mean, yeah, there are benefits to not doing things half-assed last minute, but if half-assed last minute got you to where you are, you might not want to change it that much. You know what I mean? Like if the method that you scaled to where you are got you there, don't necessarily throw it out the window and start with something totally like pristine, Listerine type, perfectly done. Don't do it. Keep some of the old stuff that got you to where you are.
I mean, that's 100%. I see it happen all the time, especially with brands we work with, we scale them up quick, and they get to a level, and then they're just like, now we're here, so we need to be here, and they get rid of everything we were doing before, and
Yeah.
then the results aren't as good. Like we could have just stayed doing that, and we would have just scaled it. And in terms of like having like this is just a thing with like having your feed done 2 weeks, 2 months in advance. It's like the same thing with ads, it's the same with everything else. You have no feedback loop there, right? If you actually want to run organic content, like you post a video and you see how good it did, and then you make a better one based on that, right? If you're planning
Yeah.
everything 2 months in advance, your feedback loop is like half a year, almost for like everything you're doing. And like, what if that whole 2 months of work, they all sucked? And then where are you sitting? You're sitting on no more information. You just have 2 months worth of bad organic content. Whereas if you did it day by day, which is okay harder because you have to get into a mental space to do it each day instead of bulking it out. It's almost like making, batching your meals at the start of a week is definitely easier, right? But if you can make meals each night, they're gonna be better. Um, so yeah, if you can do it each day, you're gonna get that feedback loop. You're gonna improve faster. You're gonna find out what works and find out what doesn't work. Same with ads. Same with everything else. So I think that's
Yeah,
super
I
super
agree.
cool.
The one thing, when you run a business, man, there are no heroes coming. You're not. You're most likely, the chances of you hiring one person that's going to change everything is pretty slim. And if it does happen, you're most likely not going to be able to replicate that time and time again. So that stuff needs to be built inside by the people coming. Like for instance, we're this one of these brands who we were always looking for this person to teach us and to show us where we needed to be. Like I wasn't that person in our brand, but I feel like I went through this thing like 5 times or 6 times where they would be like, "Oh, we found this person, and they're so great, and we're gonna hire them, and they're gonna take care of everything, and we're all gonna be happy after that. We're all gonna live happily ever after." And that shit just doesn't fly. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen. So maybe once in a while it might happen. It never happened for us. I still haven't gotten there. The guy who they hired this dude, man. They hired this dude. His name is Gary. They hired this dude 4 years ago, and he was like a get to the market professional, and he like could handle organic social, and he could handle like brand, and he could handle retention, and he could do all this stuff. And they brought this dude in. It was like 10 grand for the first month. He's like, I'll charge 10,000 for a month, and then we'll renegotiate after that. The dude did shit for 30 days. He didn't do shit. And after 30 days, I pointed out to everybody and was like, listen, this dude is useless. Can we just move along? I've just spent hours on calls with this dude, and he was talk, did nothing. And now we're a year later. And then about, I don't know, maybe like 12, 14 months later, they hired somebody just like him, somebody from The Gap. They're like, oh, this person worked at The Gap. Yeah? Well, I got news for you. In her department at The Gap, there was 30 or 40 or 100 people besides her. She only knows this much of the job. There is all this other stuff that she doesn't know. She is a tiny, tiny cog in a giant clock. And you need, if you're a small company, you're not going to hire your hero. And what I think we should do as small companies is you learn something that gets you from A to B and from B to Z, and on and on and on. The dog's going nuts over here. And then you teach that to somebody so that you can go learn something else. Yeah. That's it. That's the thing. You learned what got you from A to B and from B to Z, and then you teach somebody to do that stuff, and you learn something else.
Completely agree. That's exactly how I do it. And like the way I look at it, I never hire a marketer who worked at like Disney or Nike, for example. Like even if they post for numbers of their results, it's just like Nike have great marketing. I don't know how much you influence that at all. Maybe if you told me you worked for like a really bad product, which was at a big company, and you managed to hit your sales target, that I might more agree. But like if you work for Apple, like I'm pretty sure they sell themselves. You know what I mean? Like.
I want to talk to you about creative strategy though, because this is like the topic I always hear people talking about. Like we outsource some creative strategy, and I think that's a great way to go. Like like the way I look at it is what you guys did for us is awesome because for us, our creative strategy is the product. We don't have any creative strategists in house. I said this on Twitter the other day is we got almost to $50 million in sales before a creative strategist ever looked at our ad account.
Yeah.
And it was William Cast had a creative strategist on his Aether Ads agency. We hired him in February of 2024, and we had literally done 50 million in sales at that point, maybe like 45 million. And he went in there and he started making some ads. Some of the ads were good, he made some good stuff. But if you just think about it, 50 million before a creative strategist ever looked at the brand. And then we hired you, of course, at a later period, and then you came in and you started doing your thing. And I, at one point, because Twitter is so enamored with creative strategists, and they're like, oh my gosh, a creative strategist, like a unicorn with a fiery sword in his hand. Like come on, guys. Like, ease up. We got the 50 million with no creative strategist. And I saw my buddy James was talking about hiring a creative strategist the other day, and I think he even tagged me, or somebody tagged me and was like, hey, maybe John Hickey can help with you with creative strategy because he has a brand. And I was just like, I don't think you hire a creative strategist at that point. I think you hire a person who can do graphic design. And I hire a videographer, somebody to video you guys. I would throw the money into product research. Get a designer to start like research what the consumer wants and then release those products. That's where I would go. And I'm not discounting creative strategy as a discipline or as a useful thing to a brand. It's just that I think even now today, and trust me when I tell you, we have money. I can afford to hire whoever I need to hire. Like if I'm not hiring somebody, it's not because I don't have the money to hire them. It's not because I can't find them. It's because I have zero desire to hire that person. And I could easily run an ad on LinkedIn right now and get 100 people responding to creative strategists at our company. We are a Los Angeles-based fashion brand with billboards all over LA. I could literally put an ad up and you'd have all these people be like, great, I'm a creative strategist. And one conversation I had, no, the other thing is my wife and I own a trade show. We have 100 brands in it. There is $1 billion brand in our trade show that pays us to be in our show. They don't have a creative strategist in their organization. I checked. Yeah. I not only went to LinkedIn and looked, but I contacted my person who's at the brand and said, hey, do you guys have an internal creative strategy? She said, it's in a role that we have, but it's not a strategist. It's like a portion of their role. $1 billion fashion brand that's been around for 20 years. So if that's the case, and my wife was looking around, she actually, we were talking about hiring a creative strategist at one point. So we put an ad up and we had an ad running creative strategist. And I had this one girl come in and creative strategy wasn't her role as well, but it was other stuff. She actually was my peer competitor at a competing brand that was like 50 times bigger than us. I remember being a tiny little brand doing like 20 grand a month and looking at their ads and being like, man, I want to be like them one day. And now we're probably 3 or 4 times bigger than them. And the whole time we were growing and getting bigger and bigger. She was at that brand for like 2 or 3 years. She said she was looking at our ads. She said, I saw your stuff, and I was like, wow, look at this. This is great. And we beat them down, man. She literally said, she goes, our brand contributed to their downfall. She goes, you guys were just snatching market share left and right. We knew. She's like, we could see you guys growing so fast over time. She's like, when we first saw you, we were like, oh, look at that little tiny brand. And she's like, a little while later, we'd see your ads everywhere. She's like, next thing you know, I'm like dropping my budgets down. And she's like, we just kept seeing you guys go like that. So, and I'm not saying that's me personally beat her, but I think my wife's strategy of the product, that's what it did. But I think that fashion brands, if you're looking for creative strategy, go to an agency, ask them to make you some ads about your product, which you're 100% focused on, because you're asking your consumer, you're researching your consumer, you're on Reddit. Like I go to Reddit and I scrape the Reddits about our brand and I look at all the comments, and then I go to Reddit and I scrape there's a couple of Reddits that cover kind of our ICP, and I'll scrape it and I look at it, I hand it off to my wife, and I'll be like, this is what they're saying. I'll just give you a tip. They're talking about the tiny holes by the belt on your jeans. My wife will be like, if your t-shirt doesn't get tiny holes, from wearing your jeans, you don't want to wear it because it's not good cotton. She said that. My wife said that. She's like, I'm going to make an ad that says, I want my t-shirts to get tiny holes in it because then I know it's the right kind of fabric. Women constantly complain that they get tiny holes by their belly button right here.
Yeah.
It's from a couple of things. It's from the seatbelt. It's from the denim. Sometimes they do the tuck or the half tuck. And what happens is they get these tiny little holes there. And they all know that they get the holes. But I asked my wife about it one day. I was like, can we fix this? She's like, no, you can't fix it. She's like, because if it doesn't happen, you don't want to wear it. She's like, it's just life. We all know that it happens. That becomes your sleep shirt now.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, it's super cool. And in terms of when James asked about the creative strategist, your advice was basically hire a merchandiser or like a graphic design merchandiser sort of thing, someone to help out with that.
I mean, I'm pretty confident our budget right now, I probably could, I mean, we hire, whenever we hire anybody, it's usually like 175 to 2.25 right now. So I'm sure if I put up an ad for Creative Strategist in LA, 225 or New York, 175, I would get somebody coming in the door. I would grab somebody, but it's not what we see getting us to 100 million a year in revenues. Like, I don't even know if I would hire that person on 100 million revenues because I look at the big brand in our market and they still don't have that role filled.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they do have multiple designers who are trying to give the consumer what they want, a la Eugene Schwartz. What is the mass desire of the market, and give them that.
Yeah.
Don't, give the mass desire, give that. Like that book should literally be given to the designer, not the video editor and the graphic designer and the person who's making the ads. Instead, make the product that the person wants.
As in the product designer. Give a book to the product designer, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Nice. Very cool. I like it. Okay, cool. I mean, I think this conversation has been insane value. Like, I don't know if for fashion stuff on YouTube, there's not much out there, and I think you just provided like so much hidden gems.
If my wife was here, man, she would have blown my doors up. I would just shut up. And everybody's always like, "What's the secret? What's the secret?" I'm like, "Dude, marry a woman who really understands fashion."
Well, yeah, I'd love to pick her brain, maybe run a pod. Yeah.
She won't do it, man. She's so close. She won't talk to anybody about anything. She won't give anybody any information.
Yeah, there you go. That's the secret. Gotta keep it. All right, man. Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to shout out?
We got to make the MHI ABO testing campaign. That's my next thing. I'm gonna make the MHI ABO testing so that you get like your own special little corner in the account. That's what I was just talking to Ben about it the other day.
Yeah. What, I saw you commenting on Scale Surfer's post yesterday on Twitter. Are you going to copy some of his strat, or what are you thinking there?
I was thinking about rolling out that his graveyard campaign. I've seen a bunch of people talking about it. Who are the 3 people that I know that talk about that? Is that
Jacob, Scale Surfer, I think those 2, maybe someone else. Not sure.
There's another dude. Who's Jem Burra's partner?
Brandon Fink.
Brandon Fink. Okay, so Brandon Fink is the first person who I think let me onto that strategy, a la, he said something about, who's the dude who I'm terrible with names. I'm getting old, man. I got senility. Who's the dude who debated Charlie?
Jordan Haswing. Jordan Menrad. Jordan Haswing's on Twitter.
Jordan, exactly. Brandon Fink was the first person. I think he took a screenshot of it in my private WhatsApp group, or my private group. There's like 80 of us in there, all brand owners, no agency people whatsoever, except me. And he screenshotted something and was like, it was off of, I think it was off of Jordan's feed, and it said, here is the setup, and it was ABO testing with some sort of like zombie campaign and an ASC and all this stuff. So that was the first time I ever heard of it. And then I saw that Scale Surfer is running something. I think it's extremely similar to it. So we're talking about doing that. We have a lot of ads running right now. I have over 5,000 ads running right now, maybe 7,000. And it's working for us. It does really well. We have, I think 15 video editors and graphic designers, and I'm actually probably hiring another 5 soon. Because to me, I would rather spend the money on the talent than on the ads. And I know a lot of people think differently about this, but I feel like if you hire somebody who's really good at making ads and they make good ads for you, you can lower your budgets on each of your campaigns because now you have a volume of good ads. So everybody's always like, oh no, quality versus quantity. No, no, no. I don't really enter into that disagreement like that. I think you hire more people who are good at making ads and you make more quality ads. Not it's quantity versus quality. It's make more quality. That's the idea. So you hire MHI, hire Breakthrough Creatives, hire, I have like an open door with agencies as long as they're okay with the agreements. I'll hire any agency to be in the account making ads. And I'll hire, I have like a freelancer sheet out there that people could just make 5 ads for $100 and submit them. And I'm constantly bringing new people on. I actually have this contest I'm going to be announcing soon. I got 9 copies of Breakthrough Advertising and 1 copy of the Brilliance Breakthrough and a workshop ticket to the Breakthrough Advertising workshop given by the publisher. And I'm going to do a contest where anybody, your people can enter it too. Anybody who makes a top ad in this period of time, who makes it to this top CBO, and it's 9 out of 10 of the CBO, because there is one little part of the CBO that is experimental, so that doesn't count. I just throw like anything in there basically. But what we're going to do is we're going to run a contest. Anybody who gets an ad in the main CBO gets a book, up to 9, because I got 9 copies, and then the top person gets the Brilliance Breakthrough, the Breakthrough Advertising workshop, and the Breakthrough Advertising book.
Unreal. I'm going to have a lot of copies by the end of this.
1 per person, man. 1 per person. But any of your designers can enter too.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, I got a copy here, but they're like $300, right? To get. So yeah, I would love to have another one.
I got a deal on those books actually. I don't pay anywhere close to that for them.
Maybe it's a UK thing.
No, I just bought 10 copies. I just bought 10 copies for $750. I know the publisher though.
Okay, is that why? Yeah.
Yeah, I had dinner with them like 2 weeks ago in Florida. If you join his mastermind, which is $1,700 a year, the books are only $75 a piece. You can't sell them though. That's why I'm giving them away.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, that sounds like an awesome idea. I've seen a couple people just doing like bounties for top ads and bounties for top landing pages. It's a super good idea, and it's insanely good for the brand because it's like you can't really lose, right?
Landing pages don't really work in women's apparel, in my opinion. But I mean, I probably should try them again because it's been a couple of years. And it's cheaper now. Like I got a top agency to do some landing pages years ago, man, and they were brutal performance. And I know this guy runs around like he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I would love if I was not so nice and I just posted his product's brutal performance and cost. I never even got like a word of like, hey, bro, sorry that we sold you this, this bill of goods that this product would be awesome and it sucked so bad. But we, in my estimation, landing pages have not worked in the past for women's apparel. It's probably because of the way they're doing it. It's like if you sell boner pills or hair loss creams, like lesions on your face, like you got, it looks like you got like crazy like volcanic eruptions on your face going. Those landing pages work for that kind of audience. But if you're trying to sell stuff to women who are, they don't have a problem, dude.
Yeah.
There's no problem. Their problem is that they want to look good.
Yeah. But we're testing out some quiz funnels, but for male fashion. See what happens there. It's basically
I think it'll work there totally, because guys are insecure. Like guys, they have that insecurity about like how they look and whatever else, and you can answer their things. Like for instance, the landing pages for what is the big T-shirt company in DTC, the men's T-shirt company?
True Classics.
True Classic. Okay, if you go to their page, it's like they have the picture of the guy, and he's like this. He's like,
yeah.
like, oh, I'm so fat. Like,
product.
Yeah, those dudes have that problem. And it's the
Yeah,
same thing why the hair loss creams work. It's like,
yeah,
they're picking on your insecurities. But if you have some rich American women who lives in like a $3-4 million mansion, she's got perfect teeth, she's like in crazy good shape, she has like 3 cars in the garage, everything's perfect in her life. You're not approaching her with problem solution. That ugly picture you're showing on Facebook of like, the native ugly ad, it's not going to work on her because she's going to throw up on you. You know what I mean? Like, you need like, you just need to show the product in an attractive light, and then she's going to buy if she wants to.
it's a status thing, right? You know what I mean? They want to be seen as a person who has the cool new brand, the cool new product, the newest release, the limited edition release. I've got this. Oh, it's sold out. You can't get it anymore. Maybe you can try email them. I don't know, but I've got it. You can't have it.
I will tell you this though: a lot of these guys who are selling those boner pills and hair loss creams and all that stuff, your girlfriend wants my stuff. By the way, you know that, right? Like, all you guys out there, you have an answer to this situation. Like, you're selling the world the boner pills and the hair loss creams and all that stuff, and all that stuff is good. But you send your girl to my store, and she's going to be super happy. She's gonna, she's gonna be, because that's what they want.
Yeah. I also think, I don't know what you think about this, is like sending people to collection pages in fashion. It's like women. Maybe some men don't understand this, but if you go shopping with a woman, like you go store to store, right? They like looking. You know what I mean? Like sometimes my girlfriend, she'll spend 5 hours shopping. I'll be like, "What did you buy?" She'll be like, "I didn't buy anything." I'm just like, "Oh, what were you doing?" And so like, not doing landing pages, sending a collection page. You're recreating that experience almost online, right? And they know that experience is natural to them.
It's
and they
fun. They like shopping. Like not they, but some women like to shop. And if you're searching for that ICP, like our ICP loves to shop. That's what their thing is. And they want to, find stuff. So for them, they've attained that certain level in life where they don't, they have the time, they have the resources, and for them, they just want to find things that is, it's good for them. And if you're serving that market, man, the landing page does work. I mean, the collection pages do work. That, in my estimation.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think I have to run more collection ads, actually.
Yeah, running as in like the ads collection or the collection page ad?
I got to run more ads to collection pages. I don't think we're doing it right now. I had stopped doing it for a while. We did years ago. We used to run to collection pages, and then we found that the product page works well. But I built some software recently in house. We built our own testing software.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a developer on staff right now, every month. And he's a good developer too, man. He's sick. So he's not just banging on the keyboard with Claude Code. He's like a real developer. So he built a testing software for us, for an A/B testing software, like full suite. The thing is sick.
Yeah, unbelievable. And so we often test like homepage, collection page, product page, fashion, and it's hard to see what is really the best. Like it's never really a massive difference, is it? It's like a small percent. But obviously that matters at scale.
Make more good ads, man. I've been with Kamal Razak for I think it's coming up on 2 years right now, right?
Yeah, maybe a bit longer actually, yeah.
Kamal came to me, I think it was in the DMs, sent me a message saying, "Hey, would you like to make ads one day? Would you like us to make some ads for you, whatever?" I was like, "What's the deal?" Sent me like a performance package. I was like, "Oh, this is not so bad." And it was no risk up front. That was the thing. It's like, that was the important thing. I think that you must have read Hormozi's $100 million offers right before, because it was like, I didn't have any risk. I was like, okay, cool, bro. Make some ads. And I didn't really have a lot of agencies back then. I think I had 3 agencies make ads, and 2 of them sucked so bad. Aether, William Cast, he had made some ads too. His were good, but I had these 2 agencies, man, and they're Twitter famous too. Their ads sucked so bad. It was just like, spent so much money on them to buy them, and they loser ads. They were terrible. We didn't even want to run them. That was the worst part. Like, my wife's like, "I don't want to put these on," and I'm like, always like, "Just run them. We'll see what happens." They did terrible. We ran them. They sucked. So then you made ads for us, and it was good. We, in the beginning, a couple of good ads, and then all of a sudden they started taking off, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good arrangement." So now it's. I mean, how many ad agencies can say they have a client? They've been running ads. When we got to you, we were at like about 45 million in lifetime revenues, maybe 50. Well, actually, I think we were at 50. But now were over 100.
Yeah,
So if
insane.
somebody asks like, "Hey, how did you get from 50 to 100 million?" I can't say it was only Kamal Razak, but you definitely were there. You definitely were there in that team that helped us go from 50 to 100 million. And I remember there's been a couple of times when I would call you or text you and be like, "Hey, bro, I need a winner in that account." And Harry was with you at the time, and Harry, he'd be like, "Okay, we're going to get you some stuff. We're going to put some stuff in the account." Uh, I think it was last year. I could be wrong, but last year, February 22, I uploaded some ads. I was still uploading all ads at that point myself, and I remember throwing the 22 ad in because it has a date 22,
Yeah.
and a couple of days later, I was like, "Oh man, the ad account's on fire." And I had called you guys like a week or 2 or 3 weeks before and been like, "We need some help over here, man. Shit's not
Yeah.
going good."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think you've had in that period of time, you've had probably like what 10 to 15 creative agencies in there in this last 2 years, something crazy like that.
Easy, yeah.
I don't know, something like
Yeah,
that maybe.
totally. Oh yeah, I would say, yeah. There was a point when I was up onboarding like 2 or 3 agencies a month.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I would say
and
10 or 15 is yeah. I'd have to go count, but I would say that's probably accurate. Um, and then the other thing is when I say things are not going well in the ad account, we like to see, we like to double revenues
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
at least do 150% of what we did the year before every year.
yeah,
So if things are like, if we're only doing 125,
yeah,
that's when I'm like, we got a problem over here. Things are not
yeah.
good.
Yeah, lofty targets. Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, in that time, you've had a bunch of creative agencies, and we've had the top spending ads basically the whole time. Chris Lang recently knocked us off the top spot for a bit with some good ads, but we've just came back this month with the top spender, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I was looking in there recently. I think that the longest, Oliver has probably
Ollie,
had some
yeah, Ollie,
winning
yeah,
ads in there. But yeah, there's definitely been a 10 or 15 in there over time.
yeah,
And as far as consistency, nobody can match you guys. Like, nobody's had that top spender. If I order by top spend for the last year, you have like the
like
top 3 or 4 spots.
yeah, like 7 out of 10, I think, maybe something. But maybe we can confirm that.
Yeah,
But
exactly. But I mean, you have the top spots all in a row, like boom.
yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, consistency is like something. Yeah, we'll just be able to. The way we have our processes set up is that our results compound, but we also like come into the ad account and try and deliver with really like great ads straight away because we have like this swipe file of ads which we know works for each different industry. But then our processes they compound over time. But anyway, um, yeah, I mean it's been great chatting, Johnny. It's been we got an hour and 40 minutes almost. I think the value is insane. I don't know if we should even post this because it's ridiculous value. um, but yeah, we should do
Many
this again.
more ads, man. Let's keep going.
Let's
And
do it.
then I'm gonna you're gonna send me the name of that ad that I'm supposed to move over. But I actually what we're gonna do with Ben is I'm gonna set a bottom limit for MHI, and we're just gonna test at a number because I know that you guys have a different deal financially. So I'm gonna raise the spend on your ads because we're at a point now with the ad account that I think the ad account's in a super good spot.
Yeah, and it's like it's a new sort of style of creative, and we spent a bunch of time on it. I think it's just gonna rip. I know, like historically, that sort of ad, the founder is a founder ad, right? Which just rips. And so it'd be good to like get it in and get it going. Cool. I'm gonna stop recording now. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching.